We plan to release every single text messages between the two of them. We actually want all evidence to come out that's, that's proper and appropriate evidence.
Excuse me.
Blake Lively's lawyer just quit in the middle of the biggest lawsuit of her career. But why? This case has been a legal disaster from day one, but no one expected things to spiral this fast. Merrill Conan, the high-powered attorney representing Blake Lively, has officially stepped down, and legal insiders say it's because this lawsuit was never built on solid ground. After Justin Baldoni's legal team dropped a bombshell lawsuit, Lively's entire defense strategy fell apart. And now, with her legal team in chaos, this case is looking more like a PR stunt gone wrong than a winnable fight. So what made Blake's lawyer quit? Let's break it all down.
Justin Baldoni's team has issued a response in opposition to dismiss the New York Times.
It's extremely rare for a lawyer to walk away from a high-profile celebrity case, but that's exactly what just happened. Merrill Conan abruptly resigned, leaving Blake Lively without key legal representation in a lawsuit that could cost her millions of dollars and permanently damage her career. Insiders say this was not a mutual decision. Lawyers don't just abandon their clients unless something is seriously wrong with the case. And according to legal experts, that's exactly what happened. From the start, this case had problems. Too many missing details, too many inconsistencies, and not enough concrete evidence to support Lively's claims. Allegedly, Gavronsky knew this case was doomed from day one, but took it on, hoping it would quietly settle before turning into a full-blown media disaster. But once it became clear that Lively's claims were falling apart under scrutiny, sources say Gavronsky wanted out. She allegedly didn't want her name attached to a high-profile case built on shaky evidence, knowing it could damage her own reputation. This resignation came immediately after Baldoni's team released a massive update that shattered Lively's defense.
It's an effed up bad situation with what Baldoni, whatever his name is doing,
making it impossible to justify staying on the case. And with her legal team crumbling, Lively's PR team scrambled to control the damage, but instead of fixing things, they made everything so much worse. Blake's PR team wasn't just trying to fix the situation, they were actively caught manipulating the media. From the moment the lawsuit started, Lively's PR team worked behind the scenes to control the narrative, but instead of helping her, they made everything worse. Reports claim that they planted fake stories about Baldoni to damage his reputation. Some of these alleged leaks painted Baldoni as difficult to work with, while others implied misconduct without any concrete evidence. The goal? To make Lively look like the victim while quietly destroying Baldoni's credibility in Hollywood. They also allegedly pressured journalists to run pro-Lively coverage, ensuring that every headline focused on her version of events while silencing critics. Some media outlets reportedly refused to publish stories that questioned Lively's claims.
Two main elements to the filing, and the first are actually allegations of sexual harassment.
Fearing backlash from her powerful PR machine. But the worst part? They even targeted Baldoni's production company, Wayfarer Studios, attempting to damage his business deals. According to sources, certain industry insiders were urged to cut ties with Baldoni, and potential investors were allegedly warned that associating with him could be a PR nightmare. At first, it seemed like this coordinated smear campaign was working, but here's the problem. Baldoni's legal team saw through it all. Baldoni's lawyers gathered receipts, collecting emails, internal memos, and messages that allegedly proved Lively's team was deliberately manipulating the media instead of relying on actual evidence in court. When these details were exposed in legal filings, the entire PR strategy backfired spectacularly. Instead of making Lively look like a wronged woman fighting for justice, she suddenly appeared desperate, deceptive, and willing to destroy reputations to protect her own. Public opinion started to shift, and people began questioning just how much of her story was actually true. And speaking of media manipulation, Blake Lively wasn't just working with PR teams. She had the help of a major news outlet. Why did the New York Times push Blake Lively's version of events so aggressively? And could they face legal trouble too? One of the biggest shocks in this case wasn't just the lawsuit itself, it was the New York Times' direct involvement. The New York Times published a major article backing Lively's claims, painting her as a wronged woman woman fighting for justice while portraying Baldoni as the villain. But here's the problem. Many of the details in the article weren't fully verified before publication. According to insiders, Baldoni's legal team wasn't even contacted for comment before the article went live, meaning the NYT only presented Lively's side of the story. Instead of offering balanced journalism, they echoed the narrative pushed by Lively's PR team, amplifying her accusations without challenging the inconsistencies.
Lively claimed that Baldoni had engaged in improvised and unwanted kissing.
Some reports even suggest that Lively and her PR team had close connections with certain NYT journalists, which helped shape the coverage in her favor. The timing of the article was suspiciously convenient, dropping right after Baldoni filed his $400 million lawsuit. Legal experts claim this was a classic PR move, using a trusted media outlet to frame Lively as the victim before the truth could come out. Insiders say Lively's team may have worked with the NYT before the lawsuit even became public, ensuring her narrative was ready to go. But when Baldoni's legal team saw the article, they immediately fought back. Baldoni's powerhouse attorney, Brian Friedman, called out the NYT directly, accusing them of acting like Lively's personal PR machine rather than a credible news source. He slammed the publication for publishing a one-sided story without seeking Baldoni's response. He pointed out that the article presented Lively's allegations as fact rather than claims that needed verification.
And how she bullied her way through the process to take over the movie and used her PR people.
He also noted that the NYT failed to include key legal details, which would have exposed the cracks in Lively's case. And here's why this matters. If the NYT knowingly published misleading information, they could be liable for defamation. Defamation lawsuits against major news outlets aren't common, but they do happen, especially when media organizations publish false or damaging claims without proper verification. If Baldoni's team can prove that the NYT intentionally pushed a false narrative, the paper could be dragged into the lawsuit, adding another legal battle to this already messy case. And this could be a huge turning point, because if the media's credibility is crumbling, Lively's legal team has nothing left to hide behind. And with the media's credibility falling apart, Lively's team tried one last desperate move to save the case. But it backfired spectacularly. Blake's lawyers knew they were losing, so they tried to move the case to a more favorable court.
Blake Lively will be sued, and we're carefully considering other.
But it didn't work. With Lively's case falling apart, her legal team made a desperate move. They tried to relocate the trial from California to New York. Why? Because California has stricter defamation laws that favor victims of false accusations, meaning Baldoni's case would be much stronger there. California courts allow plaintiffs in defamation cases to seek higher damages, making it much easier for Baldoni to win a massive payout if he proved Lively's allegations were false and damaging to his career. Additionally, California has stronger anti-slap laws designed to protect people from lawsuits meant to silence them, meaning Baldoni's case could move forward without unnecessary delays. But this plan backfired. The court ruled against Lively's request, meaning the trial would stay in California, putting her at even greater legal risk. With this decision, Lively lost one of her last advantages. She would now have to face a much tougher legal fight in a jurisdiction that favors the person being defamed.
It's not unlikely. I think there's a high degree of likelihood that the court probably.
This was a huge blow to her defense, and it reportedly sent her legal team into full-blown panic mode. Some insiders claimed that this was the moment Merrill Conan started questioning her involvement in the case. She allegedly knew that moving the trial was Lively's best shot at minimizing the damage, and with that strategy gone, the case became even harder to defend. Conan was already struggling to build a strong defense, and now she was stuck in a court that would scrutinize Lively's claims even more aggressively. But it wasn't just legal strategy. Sources say Merrill Conan felt Lively wasn't telling the full truth, and that's when things got even worse. Blake's lawyer wasn't just struggling, she reportedly knew this case had major problems from the start. Legal insiders claim that from the beginning, Merrill Conan was overwhelmed by inconsistencies in Lively's story. Every time new details emerged, the case seemed to shift, making it harder to establish a solid defense. Lively allegedly changed key details multiple times, creating confusion not just for her legal team, but also for the public and the media. One source suggested that during early legal meetings, Lively's version of events didn't always align with what was being presented publicly, making it difficult for Conan to craft a consistent argument. Evidence supporting Lively's claims was weak or non-existent. Many of the accusations against Baldoni were based on personal statements rather than tangible proof. There were no verified text messages, emails, or recordings that backed up Lively's most serious claims, which put her legal team in a difficult position. Without clear evidence, the case started to look more like a public relations battle than a legal one.
Admissions, documents, which prove exactly what she did.
Some reports suggest that Conan encouraged Lively to settle quietly, believing that a drawn-out trial would only expose more cracks in the case. A settlement would have allowed Lively to avoid a high-profile court battle and potential public embarrassment, but Lively refused. She reportedly believed that continuing the case was the only way to salvage her reputation, even as the risks became greater. Instead of listening to her lawyer's advice, she chose to fight, despite the warning signs that her case was falling apart. With the case becoming more difficult to defend, Conan started looking for a way out. Sources claim she was frustrated with how the legal strategy kept shifting, and that she felt Lively was not being fully transparent about what really happened. The more she looked at the details, the more the case seemed to be built on speculation rather than solid legal arguments. Behind the scenes, tensions were rising. Conan reportedly became increasingly uneasy about how Lively's PR team was handling the situation, especially as more media outlets started questioning the legitimacy of the claims. Some insiders believe Conan didn't want to be associated with a case that was quickly turning into a media circus rather than a serious legal matter. She had built her career on handling real, winnable cases, not ones that seemed to be crumbling under scrutiny. But the real breaking point came when she saw the newest evidence, proof that Blake's team had manipulated the media. So what was the breaking point? The moment when Conan knew she had to leave. Legal sources say the final straw was the release of 170 pages of emails and texts, which allegedly showed that Lively's team worked to smear Baldoni through the media. These messages reportedly revealed a coordinated effort to control headlines, push false narratives, and discredit Baldoni in the public eye, all while Lively maintained her innocence. At that moment, Conan reportedly realized the case had no solid foundation. The legal arguments weren't built on evidence, but rather a PR-driven campaign that was now falling apart under scrutiny. What was supposed to be a lawsuit based on truth was quickly unraveling into a case of manipulation and deception. Even worse, Conan may have suspected that her own client had lied. If Lively's team had been involved in a coordinated media smear campaign, what else could they have been hiding? Lawyers stake their reputations on defending cases that can stand up in court, but with this new evidence, Conan reportedly saw that this was a battle she could no longer fight. Rather than go down with the ship, she walked away, leaving Blake Lively with no top-tier legal defense just as the case was reaching its most critical stage. Insiders say this was a massive blow to Lively's chances of winning, as losing an attorney at this stage often signals that a case is on the verge of collapse. And with her lawyer gone and her case crumbling, what happens next for Blake Lively? Blake Lively's lawyer has officially walked away, leaving her with no top-tier legal defense in a case that could destroy her career. But this isn't just about Lively anymore, because Ryan Reynolds' name is now being dragged into the scandal too. For years, Reynolds and Lively have carefully crafted their image as Hollywood's most beloved power couple. They've built their brand on being wholesome, funny, and unproblematic. But behind the scenes, the picture isn't so perfect. Insiders claim that Reynolds hasn't just been supporting Lively through this lawsuit. He's allegedly been working behind the scenes to blacklist Justin Baldoni from Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't like scandals like this. If Lively and Reynolds are exposed for manipulating the industry and destroying careers behind the scenes, they could find themselves on the outside looking in. So what do you think? Was Blake's lawyer quitting the final proof that this case was built on lies? Or is there even more to uncover? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe, because this case is far from over. Like and share this video if you think Hollywood's secrets need to be exposed.